Hello everyone, welcome to Learn Overflow. In this video, we will discuss about another LeetCode problem, that is the Wiggle Subsequence. The question is a medium level question, and we'll understand how we can, what the question is actually saying to us and how we can solve a question like this. But before moving into the question, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So let's start beginning. The question says a Wiggle sequence is a sequence where the difference between successive numbers strictly alternate between positive and negative. So it's like the successive numbers difference like strictly alternate between the positive and negative. The first difference, if one exists, the first difference in case anything exists in it, may be either positive or negative. A sequence of one element or sequence of two non-equal elements are trivially Wiggle sequence. So like either it's like a one element or two non-equal elements are trivially Wiggle sequence. Okay, so that's the idea behind this question. And look carefully, it gives us some example to make us understand what exactly the Wiggle sequence is. But the question says like Wiggle subsequence, remember that? So the question is much deeper into this. Now look carefully, like there's the, for as an example, it says 174925 is a Wiggle sequence because the differences are like 6, like 7 minus 1 is 6, and then minus 3, that is 4 minus 7 is minus 3, and 5, that is 9 minus 4 is 5, and like then minus 7 because 2 minus 9 is minus 7, and then it is 3, like 5 minus 2 is 3. So this way is like a given, like the you can find like the differences are actually alternate between the positive and negative numbers. Fine. So that's a really good example that gives us to understand what exactly is a Wiggle sequence looks like. But in the next example, it says, in contrast, now like array like this and this are not Wiggle sequences. Like first not, because the first two differences are positive, like 1 4 and 4 7. Both differences are positive, like 4 minus 1 is 3 and 7 minus 4 is 3. So both differences are positive, so not possible. And the second is not because the last difference is 0. Last difference is 5 5 is 0, right? So that's why it's not a Wiggle sequence, both of this case. Now let's understand further into the question. The question says a subsequence, the one we need to find, is obtained by deleting some elements, possibly zero, like possibly 0 elements, but deleting some elements from the original sequence, leaving the remaining elements in the original order. Like you will delete some of the elements, possibly 0 number of elements, but still like delete some of the elements to so that like the remaining elements in the original order stays in the original order, and it becomes a Wiggle or something like that. Given an integer array nums, we are given an integer array nums over here, and we need to return the length of the longest Wiggle sequence of nums. So we need to return the longest Wiggle sequence that we can find out in our nums array. Okay, so that's the idea behind this question. Now let's understand examples. As an example is the same example as given over here. Okay, it's like 174925. It's like a length is 6, like all the whole length, and it ultimately says like this is the subsequence, like this is the different sequence can be formed. So like all the numbers are in Wiggle, like entire sequence is Wiggle. So that's the possibly 0 case we have over here. Okay, the next one, let's understand this. 1 7 5 7 10 13 15, then 10 5, and then 16 8. Okay, now if we just try to understand this, like the answer is 7. So it says there are several subsequences that achieve that length. Okay, there are multiple subsequences that can achieve that length, but the one which they are pointing to is like this: 1 17. So we got 1, we took 17. That's a 17 minus 1 is 16, a positive difference. Then 5 minus 17 will be a negative difference, right? But they're taking 17 and 10. So they're taking 10 over here. So 10 minus 17 is also a negative difference. But look, 5 minus 17 is a negative difference. Either take 5 or take 10. Like you cannot take both in the case, right? Because both are giving you like negative difference. So it may end up like it's if it's the negative difference, okay. The first one you got a positive difference, and then 5 minus 17 is a negative difference. And moving ahead, you will find that 10 minus 5 is again a positive difference, right? So that would be positive. So as it says, like there are multiple subsequences that achieve that length, but they are pointing one example over here, okay. So your idea is not to find the multiple subsequence, your idea is to find the length of one subsequence, okay. You can end up finding something that is actually the same we are looking for. Then like 10 and like 10 minus 5 is 5, that's a positive. And then we got 13 minus 10 is again positive. So we cannot take either 10 or 13 at the same time. Now then we got like 15 minus 13 is what? 15 minus 13 is 2, positive, right? Then we got 10 minus 15. So 10 minus 15, here we find a negative. So see 1, 7, then we can take anything out of over here, right? Like 117, that was a positive number, like negative number at the next place. So we can take anything out of 5, 10 and 13 like in the initial case to just build our array. But they took 10. Okay, like you are not supposed to choose this, you are just supposed to find a maximum subsequence you can find. So when you are going through a like continuous subarray like this, so it's not the stuff like you are looking for what to delete and what to not. Rather you have specifically delete like looking for if the say if the our count changes, like what I mean is like if our value changes, say we can just do this in a way. What I mean is like just mark a previous like differences in this manner, that the previous difference be something like positive, okay, like positive or negative, something like that. And we will note for our current difference if it is different from a previous one. By that we mean, say our previous difference is a positive number and our current difference is a negative number. So we'll increase the count that we can take this. And when we are going through something like continuous positive, continuous negative, so we are not bothered with that. So just look, we can count like how many times the value actually gets changed, right? So first one is first a positive number, we got a count. Next up negative difference, we got a count. Next we got a positive difference, yes, that's a change, so we got a count. Next is the like negative difference, we again got a count, right? And like that way, like what the example they shown, right? Like telling you over this array won't be a good thing to do. So look here, the difference here is a positive number, and then 10 minus 17 is a negative number, then 13 minus 10 is a like positive number, like difference is positive, so our difference is changing, okay. And then 10 minus 13 is what? 10 minus 13 is negative, and then 16 minus 10 is positive. So we just need to have something like just a two variables, you can say, who will help us to just store the changes in differences. Like is it changing from negative to positive or not? Okay, so just doing that, we can count like how many times the like the difference is actually changing. By default, if there are say one value, say there is an array which have like only one as its value, okay, or anything as its value, say 17 as its value. So if the length of the array is 1, are we really bothered to know if it's changing or not? So by default, you can say the count will be like the number of times, like the subsequence length will be 1, right? So will be positive 1. There's a minimum value. and then we'll keep on checking how many times the differences between the next elements are actually changing. So that's the basic idea we have over here. Okay, like that's the one we should be looking for over here. And uh, and that's how we are, like, we need to go ahead in a question like this. So let's try to write some code. I don't think this will be a big larger value code, but let's try to write some code and try to then I will make you again understand how the code exactly works with what we are trying to say over here. Okay, let's do that. All right, so that's what we find here, that this is like a 0 ms solution, and you can see like this is faster than 100%. So let's understand how this question actually works and what is this. So what is this exactly? We as I said, like if the num length is like, you can find the num length can be a minimum one, like, so if the num length is one, so I just took like num length less than two. So if that is so, we just return to one, because like if there is one element at least, that means we know that okay, we found one element, and that is, we doesn't it doesn't matter to us whether it's going up or going down, like that's, we can't find anything for that. So that's like return one. And then we just took a count variable which will count like how many times the like the sign is changing for us. So initially our count is one. Why is this is so? This is the exact reason why we are taking returning like one over here. Okay, because for the first number we cannot see what's the count going like. Okay, we are actually not, we are counting not the number of differences, like number of time difference going up or down, rather we need to return what, we need to return the length of the subsequence to which we are getting a value. Say there are six numbers, like those are like wiggle subsequence that we ultimately found, but the difference over here, how it will work, it will be like giving us 5 as a return. Why is it so? Say take the example 174925, the number we have over here, or this is the exact, like the example one. What this tells us, this is like, see the number, the difference array, how many times the difference is going on. This is like the 5 elements are there. Okay, so whenever we find a change in difference, we will increase our count, but that will end up having 5 values. But what we need to return, we need to return the total like the length of the subsequence we could have found. So length of the subsequence will be one more than that, just because if the we are finding 5 numbers as like difference between two numbers at each position, then there should be 6 numbers uh, out of which we could have found like the 5 numbers, right? So that's the basic idea behind this. Now moving ahead, we just took a previous difference, like pointing out like what is the previously our difference was, and then we just went from array index 1 till the num length. Okay, and then we just at each position we just found out the difference, and we check if the difference is, current difference is positive, and our previous difference was something negative, or our current difference is negative, or and our previous difference was positive. So that's what's the idea, like what was the previous difference and what is the current difference. If it is like there's a change in sign happening at any position, we are doing like, we are counting we are incrementing our count and just by issuing our previous difference to our current difference. So just, it's nothing more than that, just finding out whether there's a change in sign or not, like a sign change is happening or not, right? So that's a simple solution to this question, and we end up having the final count, like returning the final count. And as you can see, this is like a 0 millisecond solution. Okay, so that's the idea behind this question. So you can find like multiple solutions, multiple approaches to this question, where people will be using dynamic programming to do this, and there will be multiple ways to find a solution to this question. But I don't think like there can be more simple solution to this kind of like question, like to this particular question there cannot be more simple solution. We need to find the change in the science then happening, and that's what we did over here, right? So that's the main idea behind this question. So thank you all for watching this video. Also make sure to comment down if you have any doubts or any thoughts on it. Just to talk about the complexity, you can see like there's only one for loop is going through it, and if we are going through only one for loop, so that basically means like it's running for the length of the array. So it's the order of n complexity we have over here. And regarding the order of like space complexity, we are just using previous space and like in number times this difference and this count. So it's like order of n is also our like, to be exact, order of n is the space complexity. We could have made like difference as a outside variable, like a variable of the function, like whole function, and we kept on updating this value. We could have done that, so that we could reduce our space complexity as well. So that's more or less the question we have over here. Okay, that's more or less the question we have over here, and that's what we need to find in this case. So hopefully I can make you understand how this question works. So thank you all for watching this video. Hope to see you soon in my next video as well.